Okay, we're going to talk about volume of prisms. And volume is a three-dimensional figure. And sometimes it can be solid. They can be hollow inside. Here's an example of a rectangular prism. So when we talk about the volume, that is the inside measure of this prism. How much would it hold on the inside? And notice that these aren't squares like the two-dimensional. They are three-dimensional. So what do you think the units on something like this are going to end with if it's three-dimensional? Cube. It'll be cubes. So we want to think about that space that's on the inside. We're going to take the length, the width, and the height. Sometimes it's a height, sometimes it's a depth, but it's a vertical distance. Because if you have a swimming pool, your swimming pool is not always up above ground. Sometimes it's underneath the ground. So if you were to fill this rectangular prism with water, the volume would be the amount of water that you could hold in the prism. We want to measure our units for volume in cubic units by the length, the width, and the height. You want to look at this rectangular prism, and then let's just throw a couple of cubes in there so you guys can see that we're talking about that inside measure. On the base of it is going to be the area, so we've got 10 and 3. But then you have that height, which adds in the cubes. So 10 times 3 is 30 centimeters squared, and that's just the base of it. Then we have to also include the height. So we did one row of cubes there for the base. And you just build those rows up. So that's the second row. It's not quite full. There's another row, still not full. And to fill it up, we needed to do 4 rows. So we have the base of 3 times 10 to get 30 centimeters squared. But then we have to multiply the height, which is 4 centimeters, and that will give us cubed. So with the 4 layers, we get 120 centimeters cubed. What a lot of people like to do in this formula is just take the length times the width times the height or depth and just write the volume. They don't get the base involved very much, but sometimes the problem could ask you for the base, or it could give you the base and then ask you for the height or the depth. So just remember, there's 3 different measures that you have to take into account when you're talking about the volume. So let's look at the actual formula. We took our length times our width times our height, and we got 120 centimeters cubed. So the formula should look like this. The volume of a rectangular prism is equal to the length times the width times the height. And we can abbreviate this by saying that V, which stands for volume, is equal to the length L, the width W, and the H for the height. So this is the formula you need to remember here on the bottom for your rectangular prisms. Any questions on this formula and how it was developed? Okay, so that's one that you're going to use today. What's the volume for this figure? Tell me in your groups, what the volumes would be. Did anybody get number 1? 490. Now don't forget your units, okay? So the units would be centimeters cubed or cubic centimeters. Either way is okay. 490 cubic centimeters. And for the number 2, what did you get, James? 39.3. I just rounded it to the 10th. Okay? So 39.3 centimeters cubed. And did anybody get the last one? Notice that number 2 is a cube because all of the sides are equal. Okay, so this is a cube, but you use the same formula. Okay? 76.9 meters cubed. So that's fairly easy, right? All right, now there's another type of prism that we're going to encounter, and that's a triangular prism. Remember in our previous formulas that a triangle is half of some rectangle. So basically the formula is going to be the same except we have to divide by 2. But let's go ahead and build this formula as well. So in a triangular prism, I have a height, I have a base, and I have a length. And notice that it looks like a rectangular prism but shaved in half. And that's exactly what a triangular prism is. You can build a rectangular prism around it. Now, a lot of times if you see a triangle inside of the prism, you could get the area. Oh, you did not have to do that, sweetheart. You did all the work. Congratulations, my darling. Did you get your cap and gown already? Did you get a cap and gown for graduation? You did? Okay, great. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I'll have to find something to put that in. I love when you guys graduate. I love you. Bye-bye. You know, Violet, who comes in the afternoon, James, she says that. She goes, Miss D, I can't wait till you tell me you love me, bye-bye. And I said, I can't wait either. I can't wait either. You hurry up and get out there. I know you're paying my Social Security, but you need to pay more, okay? She already got a job. Oh. All right, so if I did the cross section, that means that I need to actually do the area of the triangle first and then multiply it by the length. So here I would do 5 times 5, right? And to get that area, I have to remember to divide by 2. So 1/2 the base times height would be 5 times 5 divided by 2. And that gives us 12.5 centimeters squared. That's just the blue area here. Now, to get the volume, we would have to include this length here. So we take 12.5 and we multiply the length of 8. So my volume is 100 centimeters cubed. Of course, I could do this another way. I could just take 5 times 5 times 8 and just divide it by 2. Now, the one thing about a triangular prism that you need to be careful of is that you really find the height. All right? Sometimes people get confused by a side and not the height. So, like I said, this formula is pretty easy. We just take the base times the height times the length divided by 2, or you could say 1/2 times the base times the height times the length. Whichever way you want to write it is fine. Just don't forget to divide by 2 because it's a triangle. So I'm going to give you a couple of shapes. Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to give you guys the first answer. Let me get rid of that. All right. Calculate this and verify the answer you just saw, okay? What's my base, what's my height, and what's my length? And don't forget to divide by 2. So for number 1, what did you get? What would you do? So take 8, which is the height, times 6 times 12. And then did you divide it by 2? And how much did you get? Centimeters cubed. Okay? And then what about this one? Number 2. That one you can do in your head. Okay. 4 times 3 is 12, times 5 is 60, divided by 2 is 30. 30 meters cubed. Pretty easy, huh? Cylinders. These cylinders cause problems for people, okay? What is a cylinder going to have in it as its base? A circle, yeah. The area of a circle, which we learned yesterday. How do I get the area of a circle? Pi times radius times radius. Okay, good. You guys remember that. It was only a day away, but you remembered. Okay, that's great. So you're going to figure out the base of your circle and then just multiply the height or the depth of the circle. Because if it's a swimming pool, it'll be down. But if it's a regular cylinder, you'll do the height. So here is a circle on this cylinder, and I've given you the radius. You're going to have a height. So your base is going to be pi times r, or pi r squared, same thing. And then you're going to multiply by the height to get the volume. So let's actually put some numbers to it. Can you guys tell me what the volume is here? Okay. Oh gosh. Yeah, you need to bring up your reading and writing. Your math is okay. Oh, wait. No, you got this. You're going to have to get this. But you should be able to get this. When are you going to retake the compass?
She said they had $30.
Right.
So I think I could take it anytime during the week.
Okay, so in the next 2 weeks, I'd like you to take it again and let's see what you get. But I want you to do this practice right here before you get down there, okay?
Okay.
All right? Okay, great. Oh, hang on to these. Okay. What'd you get? Say it louder. Miriam, I can't hear you, Eddie.
I don't know if I did it right. I got 15.4, but I don't know if it's right.
Okay, so the base, I already gave you the area, because look, this is already meters squared. So you already have the area of the base. And then you just need to multiply the height. So you said you got what? 15.4. That's right. So, yeah. Yeah, especially look at the units. Remember, I told you this. The units are very important. So they've already given you the area of the circle. You just need to multiply the height. So Miriam, you were right. 15.4 meters cubed. Okay? That's not tricky. Okay, now in this one, you're given the radius. They didn't give you the base. They gave you the radius. So if I were to take pi times the radius, that's going to give me 314. So that 314 is the actual area of the base. Now we need to know the height of this thing so we can get the volume, and they said that the height is 20. So if I take 314 and multiply it by 20, what's my volume of my cylinder? What is it? 6,000? To 80? Okay. So 6,280 cubic centimeters or centimeters cubed, okay, would be the volume of this cylinder. So you can take the cross-section area of the circle. Once you get the area of the circle, multiply the height. Or just multiply it all together like in this formula here. Pi times r times h. And that also will give you your volume. Okay, now what's the difference here? What do I have to do here before I even get started? I have to divide by 2 because I've been given the diameter. So I need to find the radius first. So what is 13 divided by 2?
6.5.
So I need to take 6.5 times 6.5 times pi to get the area of the circle. That will give me 132.665. That's what this area here is. But then to get the volume, I have to multiply by what? 30. So 132.665 times 30 will give me 3,979.95. Is that what you got, James? Okay. And remember, it's cubic inches. Or inches cubed, whichever way you want to write it. So what's the volume here in units? Just tell me what it would be in units. Remember, the formula is pi times radius times radius times height. You got 35 what? Uh-oh, we got some differences here. Did you take 3 times pi times 5? 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. And 45 times 3.14 is how much? You guys, come on. 141.3. So, James, did you see what you did wrong? Okay. And then the formula here would be 2 times 2, that's my radius. That's 4. 4 times 1 is 4. And then 4 times pi is how much? 12.56. And that would be units cubed. Both of these would be units cubed. So the formula is not that difficult. It's exactly what we did yesterday, which was the area times the height. That's all you're adding to it. You guys think you got it? All right, we'll prove it. You got to prove to me that you got it. So the volume of a rectangular prism is to take the length times the width times the height, or you can call it the length, the base, and the height. The formula for a triangular prism is to take half the base, the height, and the length. Don't forget to divide it by 2 when you have a triangular prism. And be sure you're using the height. And for a cylinder, you want to take pi times the radius times the radius times the height. So these are the 3 formulas you're going to be working with today for your prisms and your cylinders. Let's do a little review quiz. Okay, as a class, tell me the correct answer to this problem. Is it A, B, or C?
B.
Everybody says B?
B.
You got it right. Okay, as a class, tell me the answer to this question. A, B, or C? What is the formula for the volume of a triangular prism? What's the base? 12. What's the height? And what is the length? Okay. And then you need to divide it by what? Okay, so how many say C? Raimundo, were you going to say that too? Oh, you picked the wrong base, okay. All right, that's correct. C was correct. You take 1/2, 19 times 25 times 12. Okay, what's the volume of this cylinder? As a class, tell me what the answer is. What's the volume of the cylinder? Remember, take pi times the radius times the radius times the height. How many people say A? A? Okay, A is it? Hot, hot, hot. You guys are right. Okay, tell me the volume of this cylinder. Now, what was given? Diameter. So what do I have to do to the diameter before I do the formula? Divide it by 2. So I should be using what number? 6.4. 6.4 is my radius. So as a class, tell me the answer. Okay, I got one person that says B. Matthew? B? Miriam? B? Okay, B. Everybody say B, 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 B. You guys got it right. So, things to remember. Volume is the amount of space that a three-dimensional solid occupies. To find the volume of a cylinder, you use pi times r times the height or the depth, depending on if you're going down or up. Practice, 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 practice. Now let's look at your assignments for today. And I did try to write the formulas down for you because there's quite a few to remember. You have a pre-test and a post-test, just like normal. Your pre-test is Z1 KMNAPZ. And your post-test is E1 ZGLDVU. Now, those of you that are able to get all your packet done and your pre and post test done, if you would like to take a practice GED test, let me know, and I can arrange that for you after break, okay? So it looks like the first page 2 and page 3 are just a review of how to do the problems, a couple of examples for you with the formulas. And then on page 4, I've listed all 4 formulas. When you have a cube, and that's where all the sides are equal, all you're going to do is take a side times a side times a side. You're going to cube the sides. The formula for a rectangular prism, we're going to take the length times the width times the height. And you're going to have your units cubed. For a triangular prism, you're going to take the base, the length, and the height divided by 2. And you're also going to have cubic units. And then for your cylinder, you're going to find the radius. If you don't have the radius, find the radius. And you're going to do the radius times the height times pi. And that will give you the volume of a cylinder. So what are the instructions on the bottom of page 4? The 2 decimal places means the hundredths place. And you're going to find the volume. If you have a cylinder, you're going to use a pi of 3.14. So it looks like on number 1, what kind of figure is this on number 1? It's a rectangular prism. So we're going to use volume equals length times width times height. I like to write down the formulas to help guide myself. And let me move this a little closer so you guys can see what I'm doing. What's that noise? It's what? Oh, is that outside making all that noise? Dang. Yeah, way up here. Okay, so the length is 5 feet. You guys need to watch your units too, because they need to all be in the same unit. The width is 8 feet, and the height is 2 feet. So what's my volume? No, it's 80 feet cubed, James. Okay, don't forget to put your cubes on there and check your units, okay? Number 2 is a cylinder. And a cylinder, the volume of a cylinder is equal to pi times r times h. And we know they want us to use a pi of 3.14. They tell us that the radius is 7 centimeters and the height is 12 centimeters. So what did you guys get for that volume when you multiplied it? 7 times 7 is 49. Did somebody take my calculator from up here? My GED formatted calculator, it's missing. Let's see, we get 1846.32. That's 2 decimal places. And the units were centimeters, right? Yeah, that's what I got. 7 times 7 times 12 times 3.14 will give me 1,846 and 32 hundredths. And that'll be centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters, whichever way you want to write it. What kind of figure do we have in problem number 3? No, that's a cube. All the sides are equal. That's a cube. So you got 5 times 5, which is 25, times 5. And that one you should know how to do by heart. How much is that? 125 cubic centimeters. That one you don't even need to pick up. No, it's not square. Cube, honey. Cube, cube, cube. You're looking at a cube. It's a cube. Okay? Any questions at the bottom of that page? That page is pretty easy, huh? Page 4. Okay, let's go to page 5. I'd like to do some of these triangular prisms since we haven't done one of those yet. Look at problem number 7. Remember the formula for a triangular prism is length times base times height divided by 2 is how I like to remember it. Or you can just do 1/2 the base times the height times the length. So what is my length, my base, and my height? And on this one, I'm just going to cross the 2's out and get 12. Cancellation is my friend. Any questions on number 7? Let's also do number 9, which is another triangular prism. On number 9. It'll be the same. The volume is going to be the length times the width times the height, or the base. And the volume will be 18 times 12 times 9. And these are all centimeters, so you want to check all your units when you're doing them. Yeah, you can use a shortcut here too. So 9 times 9 is 81 times 12. I got 972. So the key thing with the volume is you need to make sure that you've got the height, the base, and the length, and that you divide it by 2 because it's half of a rectangular prism. That was number 9. 18 times 12 times 9 divided by 2. Oh, which page, honey?
We're not dividing that by 2, right?
Yeah, we divided it by 2. I crossed it out on the bottom. Number 9 on what page, Chanita? Go to page 8, okay. You're a little bit ahead of us, but that's fine. You just get stuck on these yum-yums, huh? Page 8, what is the cubic measure of, well, you already have the volume. And what do they want? And what kind of figure is it? You can't divide it by 3, sweetheart. Let's draw it. Now, I'm not the greatest artist in the world, okay? But they are talking about a cube. And that means that the sides are all the same. So I've got S times S times S is equal to 7 cubic. This is what you've got here. This is your volume. They gave you the volume. And they're asking you for what the length of the side is. What is S? This is the same as S. It's not divide. I made you guys make a chart. You're not dividing this. If I'm squaring, I need to do square root. If I'm cubing, I need to do the cube root. What is the cube root of 7? That's what you have to do to solve for S here. Okay? You have to do the opposite. You guys are trying to divide, but you're not dividing here. You're cubing and square. You're cubing here. You've got 3. Remember, like when we were doing the area backwards yesterday, we had squares. To find the side, we had to do the square root. Well, here, because we're finding the cubes, you got to do the cube root. Okay? Were there any other questions on page 8? Well, it'll tell you what to round to. Doesn't it tell you to round? Round to the 10th on some of them. I'd like everybody to go to page 10 and let's do problem number 19 together as another example. And I want you to really think about number 19, okay? I've given you a hint that I want you to think about. What is wrong with number 19? You have different units. So one of those units needs to be converted. What unit needs to be converted? 200 centimeters needs to be converted to meters. Remember, kind, hairy dog, Biggs, drink chocolate milk. Centimeters is here. I'm going to go to meters, which is at the base. That's 2 to the left. I go 2 to the left, and that's 2 meters. So your volume is going to be 3 meters times 2 meters times 1.5 meters. And this is a rectangular prism? I guess so, huh? What do you get? $129. I get 9 meters. Did you take 2 times 3 times 1.5? Yeah. You should get 9. So when you guys are reading your problems, you need to make sure that your units are in the same unit. Okay, so like on number 20, we have a cylinder. And sometimes drawing a picture helps, okay? We have a popcorn cylinder here. And we know that the diameter is 5 feet. So my radius is going to be the diameter divided by 2, which will be 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5 feet. But what's the height?
1.5 yards.
The height is equal to 1.5 yards. We need to multiply that by 3 to get the feet. And how much would that be? I got 4.5. 3 times 1.5 is 4.5, right? No, 1.5, James. It says 1.5 times 3. There are 3 feet in a yard. So if I want to convert this to feet, I have to take 3 times 1.5, and I'm going to get 4.5 feet. So my volume will be pi, because it's a drum, times the radius, times the radius, times the height. And I've got 3.14 times 2.5 times 2.5 times 4.5. And all of those are in feet now, so I can do my problem. You have to watch your units. Yep. 1.4. 1.5, yeah. You guys cannot forget to convert your units. We did that when we did ratios. And we're supposed to round to the 10th. If I were to round to the 10th, I'd get 88.3, and that would be feet cubed. So after we get the radius, we need to convert the height to feet. So that was 2 steps. Step 1 and then step 2. Then we plug in all the numbers into the volume formula now that I've got all in feet. And I get 88.3125, which I still need to round to the 10th because the instructions say run to the 10th up there. Okay? Now number 21 says that it's a box. So that's a rectangular prism. But what's the problem here? 8 centimeters wide, 45 millimeters long, and 70 millimeters long. I need to convert that 8 centimeters to millimeter. Kind, hairy dog, Biggs, drink chocolate milk. You're right. It'll be 80 because going from C to M is 1 to the right. So when I do my volume, I'm going to have 80 millimeters, 45 millimeters, and 70 millimeters. My volume is going to be in millimeters. So let's calculate what that would be. 80 times 70 is 560. Then we have to times by 45. Wow, that's a big number. So I got 252,000 millimeters cubed after I've converted this and multiplied the volume. So you have to be careful when you're reading these yum-yums, all right? See that a little bit better, I hope. Okay, now I want to do 22 as well because we've done a cylinder, we've done a cube, no, we've done a cylinder and we've done two rectangular prisms, but 22 is a triangular prism and it's a candy box. Now what is it that I need to change here in problem number 22? I've got 1,000 millimeters and I need to make centimeters, and that's just 110, right? So my volume is going to be 110 times 500 times 450, and my answer will be in centimeters cubed. Okay, so let's calculate that. That's going to kind of be a big number. So I've got 24,750,000. Centimeters cubed. Oh, did I forget to divide by 2? I'm sorry. You're right. I forgot to divide by 2 because it's a triangle. So that's not my final answer. My final answer will be, yeah, just divide by 2. You get 12,375. 12,375,000 centimeters cubed. Thank you for reminding me of that, Miriam. $12,375,000 centimeters cubed. So the whole purpose on this page 10 is to watch your units, convert your units before you plug them into the formula, okay? So it should take you guys, we have about 35 more minutes before the end of break time, before break time. So finish this page, finish this packet with your table mates. If you get stuck on any, let me know so we can think those out together, especially on the yum-yum section. And then go to the computer and do your pre-test and post-test. Is there anybody that is going to want to do a practice GED? You want to do another one? Okay. Violina, what about you? A social studies test? Okay. All right. So you guys try to get as much done on the packet before we come back from break, okay?